Welcome back to the Dead Space Deep Cover story and lore analysis. In today's video, we continue to follow Emmeline through the basement to see what Unitology does to those who are classed as heretics, along with revealing that a shard of the marker had found its way into the firm grip of Unitology. So join me once again as we delve deeper into the Church of Unitology and peel those layers back into Dead Space Deep Cover. The chapter begins with an interview taking place between Daniel Zinnemann and Dr. Hannah Maleska, where they speak about biotechnology, where Hannah rationalizes defending the subject, stating that she sides with progress, using things like the progression of medicine to combat diseases to reinforce this defense. But she soon deflects when Zinnemann asks if she had been working for Unitology, where she says that she works for everyone and the future. Back in the lower depths of the cathedral, Emmeline had still been in the laboratories where she blindly moves through the facility, not sure if she is headed in the right way, but then she approaches what she believes to be a prison of some sorts, and in her investigation she sees each prisoner had been labelled, with the consistent part of these names being heresy. Unitologists who dared to walk a different path were now imprisoned. However, one notable prisoner had this description: 4419, heresy, full transformation, maintain and observe. But when Emmeline looks inside the cell, someone says they fed him to the beast. The beast, it tore him asunder. The martyrdom wasn't for them, it was for us. These comments are obviously talking about Michael Altman's fate, where he had been torn in two by a necromorph, and his death had been twisted into a martyr for the benefit of Unitology rather than the benefit of the marker. The man continues by saying that Dr. Maleska had removed his fingers so he couldn't write any more of his blasphemy, where later it is revealed that the blasphemy had been the Markov Gospel, which Unitologists refer to as the Markoffian heresy. The Markoffian heresy is what we already know from Dead Space Martyr, that Altman hadn't been assassinated by the government in their control for power, but had been killed by Stevens and Markov, who were driven mad by the marker so that they could grasp power by building the Church of Unitology above the martyr they created. Later in the chapter, we get a glimpse of what Hannah had done to Heretic 4419, where she had told him that he is only useful as raw materials now, and through that role he can still play a part in their truth. But when he says that she can't stop them, they are everywhere, referring to the Markoffian heretics, she tells him that he is just a mutation of Unitology and that they will decide what the truth is, referring to Unitology decides what the truth is, which plays into what the Overseer had spoken about in an earlier chapter.
If our enemies will twist the truth, we shall twist it back.
The fate of the heretic implies that he was experimented on and turned into a necromorph, and his appearance and ability to speak is the doing of the marker. That 4419 is an apparition, since he also mimics what Maddie had said before, that it hurts, which means whatever Unitology is doing is hurting the marker rather than helping it. Back in the present, however, Emmeline had asked 4419 what they had been doing to him, and he had replied that they are making them whole, but that it didn't work on him, and that he is a failure, and Hannah had been feeding him to a different beast. The beast seems to refer to Unitology, but the different beast refers to the marker. He also states that Markov knew the truth, and now it's too late for them, that it is the end of the world. But then Hannah had arrived inside the vaults, where she catches Emmeline, but she manages to bluff her way out of the encounter by claiming that the Overseer sent her to fetch Hannah, as there was a data breach, but she is suspicious of why a bronze-vested Unitologist had been sent, but accepts the story she had spun and tells her to join her to the data drives so they can secure them. On their journey, Emmeline asks how many people were down here. However, Hannah scoffs at the thought of calling them people, and instead calls them only as test subjects, but she says there are 33 test subjects. Basically, when an extirpator captures a heretic, it is is said that they will set them on the right path, with the reality being that they imprison them and let Hannah experiment on them, which the name makes sense as they remove those they deem to be heretics from the rest, pulling out the weeds in a way. But after asking too many of these questions, Hannah soon works out Emmeline hadn't been who she said she was.
Where is Vested Rudiger?
The Overseer ordered him to,
Who are you? Why do you want to know what's in the servers?
I'm just a messenger.
They'll flay you alive! They're always hungry, they have your scent, and they always play with their food.
Which seems to be referring to the Necromorphs. But then Emmeline had entered a room with a series of operating tables circling a stone that is covered in markings, which confirms the sighting of a marker, especially when she asks herself if that is a piece of the marker. However, the question that remains is, how did a shard of the marker get here? Now, this is just a theory, but perhaps the story takes place after Dead Space salvage, as there were several shards of the marker found embedded in the hull of the USG Ishimura, as one of the characters had taken a shard to the oracles, so perhaps they had sent the shard to Ganymede. But getting back to topic, Hannah soon finds Emmeline where she is armed with a saw, but Emmeline manages to escape into another series of cells, but these contained necromorphs, which Hannah ends up slicing through one when she misses Emmeline, which deeply angers her, stating that that was one of her best subjects. But again, Emmeline manages to slip away by using one of the necromorph's claws as a weapon. But in her attempts to get out of the facility, she inadvertently releases all holding cells.
Master controls. Environmental, temperature, fire suppression, evacuation.
Found you!
Here, master door control.
All lock disengaged.
Self! You maniac, what did you do?
Biohazard confirmed. Last doors closed.
Get back! Back! All of you!
I think you dropped this.
4419! We can get you out of here! We can both get out!
Maybe you can help me, Doctor? It hurts when I do this.
Which allows Emmeline to finally get away, which brought her to the testing areas, which she remarked how the area looked so industrialized, where the rooms looked like shooting ranges but with no visible targets. But then she sees a full-scale model room of Zane's apartment, where Emmeline had theorized that the Unitologist created the Necromorph and set it loose on Zane to do their dirty work, and this room had been a testing ground, almost like training the Necromorph for this task. Unfortunately, while she was investigating, the necromorphs could be heard stalking her through the walls and vents, attempting to break in and gain entry, which alerted her to their presence. In an Outbreak, we learn that Unitology also employs biotechnology into their healthcare programs, that their doctors are the best in the Jovian region, which sounds more like a ploy to say that the grass is greener on their side. They also say how their duty of care is the highest standard in the entire solar system, which adds another layer to their appeal system, where they make Unitology appear too good to pass up. After the Outbreak, Emmeline had managed to lose the Necromorph's pursuit after making her way through the lower levels of maintenance, which leads her directly underneath the main hall, where she can see the controls for the lighting and ambient systems. We also learn through Emmeline's dialogue that the vested levels aren't just titles, but are the color of the robes worn. So instead of having an ID card that tells you their rank in the church, you have special robes that give you that information based on sight. It turns out that the cease of communication from loved ones or friends that had joined Unitology may not have been by choice, but rather it was a plan by those who ran the church to isolate people from the outsiders or non-believers, as they will intercept transmissions coming from within their walls. Later on, Horvath can be heard creating a video or audio log talking about the markoffian heresy, but also stated that he believed that Michael had a plan for them and they must find out what that plan had to do with convergence, which sounds like Unitology is on the verge of a schism being drawn. But as the extirpators bang on his door, Horvath deletes the file in a panic, where they soon break into the room, all the while Horvath protests until he sees Paragon Ibanez, where he reads out the accusations made to Horvath and had managed to recover the documents made, which reads as the slayers of Altman, the lies of the church, and the testament of Markov, which the Paragon calls this to be the work of the Markoffian heresy, where he orders the terminal to be taken to the tribunal chamber and to hold Horvath's room under quarantine.
And there was a terrible reckoning. The slayers of Altman built the corrupted church and showed his word through a clouded and distorted lens. He was not a prophet of salvation, he was the bringer of a warning. The marker was a signpost to a future that held only disaster, and Michael Altman told the world of its existence so we might avoid that disaster. But the slayers of Altman were maddened and wicked. In them were distilled all the sins of humankind. With Altman's blood, they consecrated their church, and upon his bones they built it. But you, my brothers and sisters, you can still find the message Altman tried to bring us. In his brilliance, he hid it among the writings the church had mutilated. Among their lies, the reality of the marker, of the convergence of life itself. We can still find it. Altman laid out a path for us to follow, woven into his words, such that no amount of distortion can erase it. If we follow it, if we go back to the very source, the transcriptions of the marker and the notations in Altman's own hand, we can find what he was trying to tell us. We can complete his work. We can bring his warning to the galaxy. We can escape the beast that is the Church of Unitology by ripping the truth from its very foundations. We can emerge from its ruins as...
Vested Erasmus Horvath! Open up!
No, I have to delete it. Wait, just a second.
Stand aside. Away from the terminal.
I'm cooperating. See, Paragon Ibanez, I'm not resisting. No need for the gun.
If what we suspect is true, Brother Horvath, there is every need. Place your arms behind your back. Sergeant, constrain him.
Do me a favor, heretic. Fight back.
Restraint, Sergeant, in all things save justice. Vested Silver Erasmus Horvath, you are accused of heresy and the dissemination of forbidden works, of inducement to apostasy and defiance of the divine word.
I have always been loyal, Paragon.
Beneath the mask of submission lies the face of blasphemy. You seemed eager to delete whatever you had on your terminal, but not quick enough to render it unrecoverable. On seeking of the true word, rather grand for a junior vested, Brother Horvath. I hope you do not have ideas beyond your station. The slayers of Altman, the lies of the church, the testament of Markov. This will be studied by our heresiologists, but I feel confident in its broader meaning. Do you know of the Markoffian heresy, Sergeant?
No, Paragon.
And with luck, you never will. A particularly foul plague of lies. One Brother Horvath here is trying to spread by rallying the weak-minded to his cause. We have rooted them out before, but they do return to the light as a weed through the cracks. Have this room quarantined and the terminal taken to the tribunal chamber. Ensure nobody interferes with it until the heresiologists can begin their work.
And Horvath?
Put him in the oubliette. until the trial can begin.
Of course, Paragon.
I am a good man, a loyal man. The truth will out. Altman be praised.
And that's it for the analysis in this chapter. Let me know your thoughts about this chapter, and if there was anything I missed in my analysis of the audio series down in the depths of the comments section. Be sure to subscribe for more videos like this one, and check out the lore playlist for more twisted Dead Space details. And why not become a member to show your support even further, which like Unitology has its perks, which includes early access to new content, shoutouts within the videos, and opportunities to have your theories be read out by me in a personalized video or live stream, and so much more, and I hope to see you return very soon. But for now, be sure to leave this video having a good one.